behind the scenes of Today with Pastor Jay. And I have two mayors on today. This never happens. We've got, I don't know what to call you guys, growing cities, little big cities, big little cities. I have no idea. I know I'm going to get myself in trouble, which it happens often. But it's not intentional. Just so you know, that's my disclaimer. It is not intentional. So we'll talk about that. And I have to write everybody's name down. Even though I know both of you, I will forget Mayor David, Alfin, and Mayor Diezel with a Z, Depew. The honorables.
Got it.
I've got the honorables on today. All right, so this is streaming live on 4 different platforms currently as we speak. This is our behind the scenes, and we make mistakes, and no one's perfect except me.
Of course. But let me start off with one thing.
What's that?
Kind of funny, which we
Before we start recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, or no, when after you start recording.
Okay. All right. We'll do that.
One of the funny things.
Okay, hold on. We ain't started. We're recording live, but we're not recording on the radio. You want this on radio,
Yeah.
or do you want this? Okay.
I think it's interesting.
Okay. All right. We'll do that. You ready?
You are now tuned in to Today with Pastor Jay on WNZF News Radio, where we discuss inspiring and informative news. And now here's your host, Pastor Jerlyn Denny.
Good morning. Good morning. Wake up. Good morning. And I have an echo. Why do I have an echo? Oh, shucks. Let's try this one more time. I didn't mute myself. All right. Let's do it one more time.
It's a remix.
I like that. All right. You ready to try it again?
You are now tuned in to Today with Pastor Jay on WNZF News Radio, where we discuss inspiring and informative news. And now here's your host, Pastor Jerlyn Denny.
Good morning, good morning. Wake up, good morning. What a wonderful and beautiful day it is. And I am so happy to have the honorables. We have 2 honorable mayors here, the mayor of Palm Coast and the mayor of Edgewater. And that would be the Honorable Mayor David Alfin and the Honorable Mayor Diezel Depew. Which I'm gonna start with you first, Diezel, because I'm gonna tell you, it takes a lot to impress me. But you, by far, I loved how you campaigned. Your first name being Diezel. You said, what was it? Everybody runs on Diezel.
Edgewater runs on Diezel.
Edgewater runs on Diezel. Was such a cute. I probably couldn't use cute. I don't know what word I'm supposed to use, but it was so catchy. Edgewater runs on Diezel was such a wonderful campaign, and you're so young. Do you get that a lot? People tell you you're too young, you shouldn't run for mayor. Let's tell everybody how old you are now.
Well, I'm currently 20 years old. I turned 20 on May 11th. I was 17 years old when I filed to run for mayor, and I was 18 when I was elected, the youngest in Florida's history.
That is exceptional.
Isn't that exceptional?
I am more than jealous. So Jerlyn, you have both ends of the spectrum.
I have
today.
both ends of
the young end and you have the rather old end.
Okay. I have both ends. But I remember when you were running, I was like, he's got this thing together. You know, Darrell Boyer is running for the state house.
Yes,
he gets a
wonderful guy.
Yeah, he gets a lot of slack about, oh, you're too young, you're the blah, 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 blah. What do you say to that? I mean, because you are the mayor of Edgewater, the city of Edgewater.
I say get involved no matter what age you are, you can make a difference. It doesn't matter. Of course, I had some people say I was too young. I fought through that. I just ran a great campaign and people seen through it. I outworked my opponent, and outworking them and working harder than them is really what comes out in the end.
So what made you decide to go, okay, I'm going to do this mayor thing?
Well, I always have loved politics. My family was not involved in politics whatsoever. Actually, I got them involved, but I went to my very first commission meeting at the age of 12 years old. I had a terrible teacher, and we'd argue every single day. He said I could never be a politician or get into politics. So I told him, not only am I going to run for mayor one day and become a politician, I'm going to run for mayor at the age of 18. So I went to my very first commission meeting at 12, fell in love with it, and have been going and staying involved ever since.
Now, David, Mayor Alfin, you got involved kind of like in the middle of someone else's term, right?
I did, but let me preface that because of your comment, and I'm so proud of you for stepping forward, and let me tell you why. My youngest daughter, I have 5 kids, but my youngest graduated from UCF actually 2 years ago. But here's what's important. So I have come to the realization that I do not understand how my daughter works. I don't understand how she collaborates. I don't understand how she prioritizes. I don't understand how she communicates.
Well, that's called parenting.
No,
But go ahead.
Well, it is. But here's what's important. Here's
Okay.
what's important. Here's what I think is relevant, okay? What I know, I can draw from the past, but what is for sure is that her way is the way of the future. So the same
true.
with you. You step forward, you show us the way of the future. My way from the past is not the way forward for the future. It will be your way and your vision, which is very important for everybody to understand.
Great
So,
point, Mr.
to answer
Mayor.
your
Great
question,
point.
Oh, so you said that. Now you just opened yourself up
Go ahead.
because you are the current mayor. That mean we need somebody younger to take your place?
So I would say that one of my first acts when I became mayor was regarding compensation, actually.
Okay.
And the reason I did it was so that I would open up city council and make it more available for younger folks to come and participate and to become elected officials, because I knew that a younger person, if they had a part-time job or whatever, could never serve.
That's true.
So the rule was that we were preventing younger folks
Really?
for participating, because if you don't have health care and you don't have at least a marginal salary, how could you possibly serve?
You can't.
So I did that on purpose, and I've taken a lot of heat for it. But I look back and I said, I did it for the right reason, and we have the most diverse and a younger city council than we've ever had in the history of the city of Palm Coast.
Wow.
Well, that's wonderful. You have a great point there. I never could do this if I had a big lawn business at the age of 12 years old when
Okay.
I also went to my very first commission meeting, and I was able to sell it right after I became the mayor, and that's the only way I'm able to. Me as a mayor, we only make $700 a
Right.
month.
And what do you do about health care? So God
$700
forbid you
a
have a
month.
health care issue.
Exactly.
Could you serve? Or if you had
$700
family?
a month.
So it's
That
a
is
stipend.
it.
It's
and
a
no
stipend.
gas reimbursements or anything. Well, luckily the city does provide health care.
Okay,
for every
so you
city
get a break.
employee.
So we
do
didn't have that
health
before.
care.
So if you don't have health care, you can't perform that job because you got to worry about
It's
your
true.
family first.
That's
So
true.
what happens too often is you wind up getting someone that's retired
Old,
or
gray-haired,
old, gray hair
white
people,
men.
white men who are
Am I right?
Yeah, well,
All
you
over
know,
Florida.
all over Florida. Well, we got to change that. We've got to change
We're working
that.
on it.
we do.
You're working on it. One of the things you guys have in common with Edgewater and with the city of Palm Coast is that there's been some flooding issues, right? So, Mayor Diezel, you don't mind if I call you Mayor Diezel,
course
do you?
not.
I like Diezel because right now I
That's
feel like
what I
all
go
of
by.
Florida. I think all of Florida is running on Diezel right at this moment. So when we talk about that, and one of the things that you have done since you have been mayor is you've opened up the doors for younger people, but you've also had this flooding issue and this flooding problem. How have you been able, and that's something Palm Coast is dealing with right now, the runoff, we got these new houses and, the grading isn't right. And you build a house, the next thing you know, your neighbor down the way is having all these issues and flooding problems. That was something that happened in Edgewater. How did you guys attack that?
Well, we had 950 homes flood during Hurricane Ian.
Are you
unfortunately.
serious?
Yes, we did. My family's home was one, and my grandmother's as well. My grandma had water up to her countertops, and my parents live a couple of doors down, and they were at 12 feet above sea level. So it was a terrible event. When I came on the council, everything was kind of up in arms. It was kind of right after the storm and right after that event. We updated our stormwater master plan. That was one of the things that I really, really played a key factor on and said we absolutely need to do this with future developments before we continue to develop. Our one that we are currently using until this one is completed is from 2014. It's almost 10 years old. We have updated our codes for new development to be at a 100-year storm plan moving forward. And we have done several key events in our community and getting information out there for storms to come and how to prepare better and stronger. But we've updated our codes and we are armoring our canal systems. We're looking for several grants and anything that we can do for any kind of flooding preparation. Florida Shores is our main neighborhood, and that's where I live and grew up and started my lawn business. It flooded the most, and it's an older community, of course. So we've updated our codes, and we're doing all we can about it, and that was something that I really, really wanted to see done.
So the city of Palm Coast, a couple of differences. One, we've not had a house flood. So flooding has a specific definition.
Well,
we've had no water.
it depends on
enter-
how you look at it.
No, by definition,
Right.
we've had no water enter a front door. So that's quite a bit different from you. Now, we also have a swale, ditch, canal drainage system. I don't know how you folks work with that.
Title.
So very different.
Okay.
So what we have done, similar to Edgewater, is that we revisited our building code and we put a maximum height on the pad height to make sure that as we fill in other words, we're starting to approach build out. So as we infill lots that may be of a different topography than the lot next door, we have updated our code to make sure that it becomes a code violation if any water leaves the new build property to an adjacent property. That's a code violation.
Oh, wow.
So we've regrade to make sure that the water either enters a swale or a ditch or back to a canal. And we've also just launched our Swale Team 6, which is out there every single day addressing the most urgent swale problems. Because if you have a blockage in a swale, it's going to affect others up and down the street. So Swale Team 6 is out there making sure that every swale is operating as efficiently and correctly as it can.
Swale Team 6.
I love it. That's great solutions. One of the other things that we have done is we are dumping currently our stormwater into the lagoon. So we're looking at different ways to reavert that as well. We are tidal dependent.
All right. Well, we got to take a break. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. You are listening to Today with Pastor Jay.
So
Nothing could. Give everyone $10,000.
We're going to go back in. We'll just talk about some stuff that's coming up. Any projects or anything that's new, what you've liked the most about being mayor, and
ready when you are.
okay, you ready? Welcome back. And I have the mayor of Edgewater and the mayor of Palm Coast, two completely different cities located in different parts. One's in Flagler, one's in Volusia. One's a little bit smaller than the other, but as Mayor Diezel like to say, you're growing, right?
We are.
25,000 residents there, over 100,000 here in Palm
But
Coast.
both growing at a rather rapid rate, which creates a similarity
It's
between the two.
It's growing, and it is
Absolutely.
growing. People are moving to Florida, but they're also moving to Edgewater and moving to Palm Coast.
Yes.
I mean, do you have problems with traffic? Have you gotten to that point yet? I'm going to ask Mayor Alfin this, because I'm going to tell you, it takes 20 minutes to get across town now, where before you could zip over there in just a few minutes. Not anymore. I mean, what are we doing? We got people they loving this area.
So I guess the question I would have for you, Jolene, is so what are you doing with without those extra 12 minutes? All joking aside, congestion is a part of growth, and it's difficult. It's difficult to mitigate. I've worked over the last 3.5 years to progress through our transportation planning organization. I'll have the honor of being the chair next year, which is the group that prioritizes DOT projects. So we're working very hard on adding turning lanes, widening roadways, which were originally planned for future widening, to reduce congestion. I can't say honestly that we can do away with congestion. This Palm Coast will never be a one-stop light town like it was 25 years ago.
And people keep talking about that. And Mayor Diezel, people don't like change, do they? They
No,
don't
they
like
do
change.
not.
They don't
They
like
do
the
not.
growth. And I know you've
No.
experienced that in Edgewater. Like, what are you trying to do?
Yes, we have. Well, luckily, we don't really have a typical traffic problem, but Edgewater is stated to be the largest municipality population-wise in Volusia County within the next 20 years.
Wow.
Farmington is a huge deal. It's going west of 95 from Edgewater that's currently developed, and it's going to bring a large population from all over the United States. We're planning for that. We're planning for future stoplights. We work very well with FDOT, and the board that you're on, Councilwoman Gillis is on that. She represents us well there. We're planning for a new interchange, and we are just planning for growth to the best of our abilities.
But to your point, so I find a lot of people are very comfortable with the way that things were yesterday
They
because they
are.
understand it. They're a little bit apprehensive about the way things are today, and some folks are really quite scared about what the future, the unknown might be. So this is that comfort zone that people build. One of the classic examples is if I moved to Palm Coast 25 years ago and I bought a lot and built a house. Well, I had the blessing of having an empty lot across the street and one to my left and one to my right. Well, guess what? Somebody else bought those lots too. And then all of a sudden,
They're building on
somebody
them.
built a house next door to me. Oh my God. Now I'm not watching squirrels and birds and everything else.
Right.
How do you balance that?
And people don't like it. They really don't.
It's very tough to balance. I don't think in Edgewater it's necessarily they're anti-growth. There are anti-growth people, of course, out there, and let's face it, nobody really likes change, like we stated here on the radio, or big box stores that create such a change, anything like that. But they're mostly scared of stormwater runoff, and that's the thing that we're really working on most with new development to
I
make
hate to
sure
be
it doesn't
rude,
play
but
a
all
part.
of us are one flush away from disaster.
That's true.
Is it because it's Florida?
No, wastewater is just one of those things.
One of those
that
things?
If you
Absolutely.
don't plan for it well, you cannot have a city. You
So-
can't
true.
build anything
Which,
else.
speaking of that, we know that both of these cities are growing. What are you planning in terms of making sure that the infrastructure is there? I mean, it's good to talk about having houses and having these box stores and having all these businesses and stuff come in. But what's going on behind the scenes to make sure that both cities has the infrastructure for the growth?
So not behind the scene, but in front of the scene
In
today.
front of the scenes.
I just came from a 6-hour City of Palm Coast City Council workshop where we talked about and were presented the status of our new comprehensive plan. So one of the things when I was first elected I did was I opened up the comp plan for the first time in the history of our city, which is 25 years, a quarter of a century, so that we would rewrite the blueprint for our city based on the input of our residents. We've had over 80,000 responses
Wow.
to our comp plan, which is the vision for the future. So we are rewriting the roadmap for Palm Coast for the future based on what our residents want.
Well, Mr. Mayor, that's a great point as well. We're doing vision sessions with all of our community to see what they want moving forward. They did one in 2008. We purchased our new City Hall location in the future to come based off that vision plan. That's what the residents wanted. I regularly meet with Farmington, Deering Park Corporation's lawyers to see how they can help us out on future infrastructure plans. We have in the works a new public works facility. I'm working with them to see how they can play a key factor in that, because if they do develop all the way out, we will be at capacity. So the city has purchased property to extend our public works facility. So that's something that we need to look into, and that's something that I don't want to be on the taxpayers' dollar. I want it to be on the developers. And that's something that we're really working on to make sure that we have that balance. And Edgewater does have the second highest utility bill in the state. So
Really?
we do, unfortunately. So we're working to navigate towards that, because our median income is only around $32,000 a year. So we're working to navigate through that. And road infrastructure, of course, like I stated, we work with FDOT. Councilwoman Gillis represents us on the board for TPO for this county and Volusia County, and we're planning several roadways. And Williamson Boulevard is going to extend to 442.
Is it really?
It is, yes. It's going to extend to
That's the
442
only road I
in
know.
Edgewater.
So,
That's the only road I know. Look, I don't have to use my GPS then.
so Mr. Mayor, it sounds like you need to position yourself so that you can get to an elected position where you can help your municipality
Oh, listen at you.
get those appropriation requests which come from state funding, because that's the big bucks that you're going to need for the future. So
Speaking
I
of-
wish
well,
you very well for that.
Speaking of
Florida runs on
appropriations,
Diezel.
speaking of the Florida runs on diesel, I like that. Speaking of appropriations, how did you guys do the last couple of sessions? You get the money you wanted?
So
I should say needed.
It's bad form to speak until the governor is finished. So it's supposed to be bad luck. But I can tell you about the last session.
Okay,
was
that'd be good.
record breaking for us. So I can only hope for the same now. But we are really, we tried to impress the legislature on the fact that the appropriations we asked for would have an economic development impact on our entire region. Quite frankly, as far as Edgewater as well, we're making a difference for the region, not for just the city of Palm Coast. We're building a future for this whole part of Florida.
I was absolutely devastated. I went to Tallahassee 19 times. We were very hopeful. Met with several
Hey, tell it like it
legislators.
is. Uh-huh.
They let us on. Was not very happy in that regards at all. Very devastated. I thought we were going to do very well on that. We didn't even make it to the final process. We hired a lobbyist this year as well. She's done a wonderful job representing us, but we didn't even make it past the first process, past the legislators. I was just absolutely devastated. So I'm really hoping for better luck next year. We wanted a safe center, a police station, and half a community center, infrastructure plans. So really hoping next year's a better year.
Well, I would certainly look forward to finding a way to collaborate with you on efforts regarding appropriation requests, because
That'd
in
be
my
great.
book, anything that helps the region helps all of us.
That is true.
Absolutely.
That
That
is
I would
true.
be
wonderful.
delighted to be helpful.
We have a lot of great representatives, and I don't want them to
No, of
think I'm
course.
talking negative about them. They're wonderful people, but they represent the county. Well, I'd love to do that with you. That would be wonderful.
Okay. All right. Well, we got to take another break. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Today with Pastor Jay. Fashionistas on the show. Of course, it's going to take Pastor Jay to say that.
Not on these stipends.
Not only I know, right? Oh my goodness, how much time I have?
If I'm talking too much, just tell
No,
me.
you guys are doing great. I like this, and y'all doing an excellent job. We should have done this before. This is something to
like
really
it.
think
I
about,
like it.
especially having different viewpoints, because everybody thinks their city is their city, and they forget
Right.
there are other things that goes on outside the city, and what you do in one affects the others around you.
Very much so true.
Yeah, it really and truly does. So this was good conversation. Thank you guys for coming on. How much time did you tell me I had? 3 to 4. All right. I'm just going to thank my sponsors, go in, and then I'm going to give you each a couple of minutes to talk about what's new, what's coming up, and how much you love your city. I'll ask that question. Ready? I'm going to give a thank you and a shout out to Steve Verrier, theFloridaMortgageCenter.com. Thank you so much for sponsoring today. And Church on the Rock couldn't be on the air without you. God bless you both, and may the Lord continue to grow all that you do for him. So this has been great conversation. I'm going to have to do this again because, get these couple of perspectives. In fact, I'm going to see if I can get the Volusia County Sheriff and the Flagler County Sheriff on the show at one time, maybe even St. Johns County. See how many we can get some different perspectives when it comes to crime. But this has been wonderful to have this conversation because those that are in Volusia and those that are in Flagler County can kind of get a different perspective because what goes on one place affects the other place, right?
It's true. Absolutely.
Because the water is going to run up or down some kind of way, right?
That's true.
It's going to affect all of us.
Absolutely.
But what do you love? And I ask both of you, what do you love most about your city? Whichever.
I'll yield to youth before beauty.
Youth before.
Oh gosh, I love the river. We are a coastal community and anything to protect it, and I love to spend my weekends out there.
What I love most is really the reason that I ran for my current position. The city of Palm Coast is now 25 years old since its incorporation, but actually 50 years old since the original infrastructure was planted. For those of you that understand planning, infrastructure has a lifespan of 50 years. So I chose to participate in government because I knew that we were on the doorstep or a crossroads to the future. Palm Coast is now challenged with deciding what it needs to be in the future. We cannot continue to keep taxing folks to pay for infrastructure that has now reached its lifespan. So we have some very big decisions and vision statements to make for the future so that we can reduce the liability of taxes on our current older demographic, find a way to bring younger families to our area for economic development, and build a financially sustainable future for the area.
It's true.
Well, I can see, Mayor Alfin, you're married, but Mayor Diezel, I mean, you young. I don't see a ring on your finger. So I'm just saying, are you eligible bachelor? I just got people try to shop you around. Have you had, look, he's like,
funny.
oh, Pastor J, there she go. I mean, I'm just saying, are they shopping you around going, this eligible bachelor here?
I don't get that comment. So.
You don't get that comment?
No.
Wow.
Well, they're saying it. You probably
Oh,
don't know
too
it.
funny.
Oh, they talk about you behind your back real
Oh,
good.
too funny.
Real good.
Too
That is
funny.
very, very funny. That is just great.
That
Hey, one
is.
last thing to close
Okay.
this out. Here's the weirdest thing about being elected to this position,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you'll agree.
The hate mail.
The first thing that happens is you absolutely lose your name, your first name especially. No one ever calls you by name again.
Really?
They call you a lot of things. They
Yes.
call you mayor. They call you however you introduced us.
Uh-huh.
So I haven't
Yes.
been called by my name since I can remember.
Really?
No kidding.
It's like you become anonymous.
wow.
You lose your name completely. I don't know how it is with you. But,
People still call me Diesel.
oh, they do. Wow,
and
you-
They
everything.
still,
Okay, well, they
because
got that. There you
he's
go.
got that name.
Yes,
And you know what I would
absolutely.
say, hey, a name is a name, but I don't care what people call
Absolutely.
me as long as Jesus call me, right?
That's
There you
true. Most certainly.
As long
Very good.
as Jesus
Yeah.
call me, that's all we care
Absolutely.
about. Thank you guys. I know you
Jerlyn,
both are
cool. Thank you
men
so
of
much.
faith,
Thank
and
you.
I want
I
to
really
thank you for
enjoyed
being
it.
on my show. It's been
Absolutely.
great. All right, guys, you know what I
Thank you.
say? Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not promised. What are you going to do today? Today, you're going to get a little bit more involved, ask some really good questions, and get to know your city mayor. Don't just listen to what you hear, what someone else says, or read something else. Know for yourself. Find out. Call them up face to face. Mayor David Alvin, Mayor Diezel Depew. Thank you so very much. God bless you. Have a great day.